And we're live. Hi there. Welcome to the Zenwaves channel. And this is the Zenwaves live stream where we go through some of the news about sustainability from Japan and perhaps share some insights behind the scenes. Well, today is a normal stream, which means after going through this week's news, we'll have some time to explore some topics. And there's actually two additional topics that I would like to cover today. But again, we don't want to rush it. Let's see how far we get today. I'm your host, Roger from Zenbird Media. Now, Zenbird Media is an online magazine that shares sustainability from Japan to the world. So we will talk about fashion, we'll talk about sustainable businesses, applications, and we'll talk about the economy, from food, zero waste, art, design, technology, almost everything related to doing good for the environment or society. And if you are interested in sustainability news from Japan, please consider subscribing to our channel. We are also on Instagram and more actively on Instagram than Facebook and or Twitter, but if you like to follow us there, we do post when the news comes up too. So give me a moment while I check if the stream is running well. I'm running a one-man show here, so yeah, on the minimal hardware. So I want to make sure that everything is okay. Yep, looks fine. Okay. And with that, let's jump into our first news for today. Okay. So the first news, well, not really news. I'm getting a lag again, hold on. It happens from time to time. Hold on, and there's something wrong with the stream. No moments. Might be getting some lag, but give me a moment while we try to figure this out. It's highly possible that the Wi-Fi isn't good. Well, for one, I am traveling around Japan, so Wi-Fi is a big concern for me. Every single place has its own unique connection issue. For example, the last one I was in Kyoto. Well, the Wi-Fi checks every time you try to connect to a site. I'm not too sure. There's a lag of about 5 to 15 seconds before the Wi-Fi allows you to connect, which is very strange. I'm not too sure. I've never seen such a case before. Really strange. Okay. Now it feels very strange, but I'm gonna try and continue and hope the streams improves itself, or the Wi-Fi fixes itself. I'm gonna come back, pause after the first news and see how well the stream has gone through. And yeah, let's start with our first news. Okay, right. Well, it's not really the first news. We have a new writer, and she's helping us figure out, not just LGBT issues, but more on human rights. And this is what she wrote about SOGIE. Now, some of you might know this as SOGI, But in Japan, we actually use both. The first generation of this is actually SOGIE in Japan, because E for expression. Anyway, I'll go through the article and I'll explain more. From time to time, we see individuals take to social networks and Q&A sites like Quora, seeking answers to gender and sexuality topics. The questions reveal a world seeking to understand LGBTQ matters, including the search for one's identity, acceptance of LGBT in Japan, and how to deal with rude comments from politicians like LGBT lack productivity. Now, that last part is really true in Japan. We have politicians who, doesn't really like to talk about LGBT matters. I won't be surprised if some of them actually think that they don't deserve human rights, which is ridiculous. But Japan's politics is a whole black box that once open can go on for hours. But this is not the aim of the stream today. Well, let's continue. Now, these are real concerns. Where should we start to address and understand the matters surrounding LGBTQ? Now, understanding our SOGIE profiles is one way. This is where SOGIE, SOGIE, becomes useful as a step to understanding LGBTQ and personal identity. SOGIE is an abbreviation of sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression. In detail, sexual orientation refers to the type of gender one prefers sexually. Gender identity is how one identifies oneself in gender, and gender expression is how people express themselves as what to wear or how one makes up. Now, the difference between LGBT and SOGIE is the number of people it includes. In short, everyone has SOGIE, while LGBT refers to particular people who are either gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender. Of course, there's a lot more other sexual identities that we've talked about last week. Not only is it useful for questioning individuals to understand themselves better, but it also provides a framework that the public can use to emphasize with the multitudes of sexual orientation and identity. Now, before I go to the next part, yes, it's true that all of us has SOGIE, because if you think about it, our profile, we each have orientation, a type of gender that we prefer, or we have identity, we identify ourselves as such. Now, of course, there are some minorities who do not have either, and again, they belong to the sexual minorities. But if you think about it, yeah, we all identify ourselves as with a certain degree, and that is why each of us has SOGIE. Now, SOGIE as a catalyst for human rights. Now, this is the crux of the article. There is an understanding at an international level that the issue should come from the equality of all people, the respect for human rights. SOGIE can bridge the current gap. At the international level, human rights are the minimum standard that must be protected. And it's not a radical idea that has recently emerged. The United Nations adopted the idea of human rights and sexual issues, gender identity, in 2011 for the first time. And that's like 11 years ago. If you think about it, it's still a really new topic, but it's an important step. Finally, we are recognizing that LGBT have rights and we need to fight for them. To continue, it means they expanded the protection to more people to SOGIE level at this time. Since then, there's been an awareness campaign called Free and Equal, promoting the understanding of SOGIE. SOGIE is essential to help everyone understand that sexuality is not binary, nor lies along a binary scale. SOGIE shows us that it is a mirror that shows us the myriad forms of sexual orientation and identity, and will foster a base of understanding for us to build foundations of human civilizations. Now, SOGIE is really not a scale, but rather like a matrix. There are parts that we put together, and this forms the unique combination of a person. But if you are new to SOGIE, you can think of this like, for example, gender identity. So that's do you identify male or female? Okay, it's not really a scale because there's neutral also, but you all of us can identify along somewhere there along this scale, and that's the importance of SOGIE, and that's why we thought it was so important to have this as a starting point to understand LGBTQ. Right, let's move on to the next. OBGYN doctors advocating for choices to give and not to give birth in Japan. Now, I still have no idea how to pronounce this. I believe in America, you actually pronounce each letter. And I'll do that. Well, this is a women's wellness article. One of the ways that Japan is running behind other countries is maintaining an environment where women can feel secure during pregnancy, giving birth, and having abortions. This issue is closely related to traditional stereotypes in Japan, and it causes a lack of understanding and appropriate systems. In this environment, the right to choose if pregnant women give birth or not can be threatened. Some doctors and organizations are currently trying to tackle these issues from various perspectives. Now, I think for example, in US, the discussion for pro-life and pro-choice is actually quite hot, and Japan is only starting to talk about it. Issues facing an OBGYN doctor after the first confidential birth in Japan. Now, this is very recent. The most publicized birth rights issues in Japan are isolated or anonymous births. In December of 2021, that's last December, just 2 months back, the first case of confidential birth occurred in GK Hospital in Kumamoto Prefecture. GK Hospital has been supporting women who want to give birth without revealing their identity and who are unable to raise their children alone. Now, the biggest issue of this case is birth registration. The mother of the baby has refused to reveal her identity to others besides the doctor. Therefore, GK Hospital planned to register birth instead of her, while keeping her identity confidential. However, leaving the mother's information blank is at risk of being deemed illegal under the current Japanese law. The hospital is asking for a solution from Legal Affairs Bureau of Kumamoto. The story is still developing. We still have no idea what's the outcome yet. Well, the concern has been if that birth is, the registration is deemed illegal, the baby will lack a family register. Now, family register is a huge thing in Japan because a lot of outdated laws, I would say, is based on the family register. Continuing with the article, this would affect the baby's daily life because unregistered people are a minority. And even some people working in public facilities don't understand how to accommodate unregistered people. For instance, it becomes harder to get health insurance and participate in the pension system or even attend school. In some cases, they are denied these public services. They can become registered through the necessary procedures, but the process is also demanding. I think demanding is an understatement. Anyway, over 40,000 people are hoping for approval of abortion pills to shift away from unsafe abortions in Japan. Some women choose not to give birth due to physical, mental, and economic reasons. However, abortion can also be an enormous burden for them because the Japanese abortion system doesn't reach the global standard. The mainstream method, unfortunately, is sharp cartridge, which the WHO defines as unsafe. Abortion pills, which are considered safe by the WHO, are not approved in Japan yet. It's a very big issue. Um, one of the issues that Japan face is actually choices for women. What are the options if they do not, things do not go well? What is the alternative? And usually, most of the time, things go well because in Japan, medical support is good. It is cheap for Japanese, for the Japanese. However, when things go wrong or life has complications, alternatives are usually unsafe. So it is an issue that Japan really wants to take note and improve. But in the recent months has been let's say a trend for femtech, and we are hoping more people will pay attention to this, and especially for the politicians to actually introduce better policies. Okay, let's go to our next news. Now please ignore this. I'll talk about that later. Oh no, it's not disappearing. Give me a moment. I'll close this. Okay, we're on. Okay, now third article. This is something about food. Next Meats launches a plant-based milk alternative, Next Milk. Since their food tech startup in June 2020, Next Meats has constantly challenged the next possibility in alternative meats. Their philosophy is not letting the earth end, and they have been releasing alternative fake meat types, including chicken and beef. In June 2021, last June, they also launched Next Egg, an alternative to eggs, followed by Next Tuna, Next Karabi, Next Harami, Next Gyudon. All those, the last three are meats. So now Next Meats has successfully commercialized Next Milk, a plant-based milk to replace animal dairy products. 22 drugstore chain stores, Yakudo, began selling Next Milk last month in Tohoku region. And this is how it looks like. Recent years have seen a rising demand for milk alternatives such as oat, soy, almond, or coconut. Scientists say that greenhouse gas emissions from producing plant-based milk are lower than dairy milk. Plant-based alternative foods are one of the major keys to creating a food system that is kind to the environment. With the ongoing climate crisis, Next Milk strives to lower environmental impact by substituting meat and dairy products. Next Meat's products can be found in selected Japanese supermarkets, restaurants, and on their online shop. These alternative foods are also sold abroad in 10 countries, including Hong Kong, Taiwan, Vietnam, Singapore, France, and the US. What's more, the startup is currently in the process of building an eco-friendly facility under the name Next Factory in Niigata Prefecture. Completion is scheduled for this summer. Through collaboration with famous chefs, Next Meats continues to develop new recipes unique to meat and dairy food substitutes, proposing new food options along the way. Next Meats continues to evolve, and we look forward to what's next in line. Next Meats is pretty, active, because they do a lot of collaborations with anyone who's interested in replacing meat. I tasted before. I think it was in Kochi. It was one of the burger stores. It wasn't even a chain. So you can see that Next Meats is really interested in reaching out to more people by developing more alternatives for replacement, and that's wonderful. Okay. Okay. I was just checking if the live stream is doing well, and it is. Yeah, must be the Wi-Fi. Anyway, let's go on to our last news for the week. GOMI-MAP app to facilitate proper waste disposal for users in Japan. Well, even though it's an app, you don't have to download anything. It's a web app that you can access from your browser. To achieve a circular economy where resources are kept within the system, we need to learn how to deal with our waste through recycling, reusing, upcycling, etc. Yet, it is not always easy to identify where to bring our waste to. For example, there are different places to gather old cardboard, batteries, and small electronic devices. But searching for information takes time and effort, even with search engines. GOMI-MAP is a new web app for users to find out where to dispose of their waste in Japan. Now, before I continue, it is not easy to find information, in Japan about where should I bring my garbage to. Because, like I said, like you mentioned, cardboards is one place. Your electronic devices another place. What about your tempura oil? Cookery. You don't just pour them down the garbage or down drain. There's somewhere to bring them. They are recyclable. So, for example, I'm in Nara now, Nara Prefecture, Nara-ken. Let me show you what is the kind of list, what kind of information it has right now, and then we compare with what the app offers. So I'm entering the city information. Yeah, so I gotta find now recyclable. Okay, this big big size garbage. Where do I return recyclables? So we see there's glass can, PET bottles, paper packs. Paper packs, like when you buy milk, they come in cartons. Then there's another list for where to collect your trays, your cardboards. So let's look at this. Let's say I have some cardboards I want to return. Now I got to find out, are they old? How do I separate them? Then I find out how. Now I gotta find out where to bring it, and they give this list. Now, for someone who doesn't read Japanese, or someone who just moved into this, they're not gonna know where these addresses are. And then the next thing is, I gotta open up Google Maps, and then I gotta search one by one. Where is the closest? It is troublesome, and we're talking about just searching for cardboard. Now this is where GOMI-MAP map comes in so effective for us. It uses data and technology to deliver accurate location and carbon emission information for waste disposal in Japan. You can find locations to recycle home appliances, dispose of batteries safely, or use the app to discover proper places that you can manage your used ink cartridges. Not sure what to do with the milk cartons or tempura oil? GOMI-MAP has also GOMI-MAP. Sorry, in Japanese it's always MAP, and yeah, I always confuse between the pronunciation. GOMI-MAP also has you covered. So that's what it looks like. Let's see if I can, get a bigger screen. So you can use it on the desktop, you can use it on your handphone. It's through browser, so anyone can access it. You can see some map style rather than in an Excel sheet, or you got to search the addresses one by one. Many residential areas in Japan ask their residents to separate their waste into combustible and non-combustible categories only. While it is convenient for people, it doesn't create awareness of what they are consuming. It becomes a form of irresponsible consumption because as consumers, they do not learn what materials are in the products they use and do not learn how to dispose of them properly. Sometimes the language barrier also doesn't help non-Japanese speakers to, like just now, I got to click 3 times to actually find the list of where I should bring the waste. Even then, I got to go through a research process of where the locations are. So yeah, sometimes the language barrier doesn't help non-Japanese speakers too, especially where to bring the items to or what to do with items that have composite materials. Rather than letting customers succumb to the simple way of dividing garbage into burnable or non-burnable, so in a typical household in Japan, no matter where, the minimum is the separation of combustible and non-combustible garbage. So when you talk about food waste, you might be surprised, but plastic, they are considered as combustible. Non-combustible will be, let's say, shoes are combustible. What is not combustible? For example, your kettle, or your handphone, which is actually quite dangerous. You don't throw your handphone into garbage. It's a bad example, but you get the idea that they contain metal. Those are non-combustible. What GOMI-MAP is doing is making it making personal recycling easier by removing the research process. Includes information on GOMI-MAP, information like where to bring each type of recyclables, what are the costs to actually so-called get rid of your waste, and when the facilities are open. It has both English and Japanese, which is accessible for people who speak both languages. GOMI-MAP wants to redirect waste away from landfills and incinerators, thus promoting responsible waste disposal and reducing carbon emissions. This is the handphone version. GOMI-MAP teams wants to include features like helping users track and share their carbon emissions in the future. It also wants to help businesses manage their waste by identifying cost-effective disposal, and even include the possibility of selling the waste as valuable resources. The GOMI-MAP team is currently considering using blockchain technology to bring transparency to the process too. The app is developed by Raphael, I'm so sorry, I'm going to murder the name, Raphael Nico and Brian Pham, who is also the MD of Australian-based software company Coplight. The new app currently focuses on the Tokyo, Kawasaki, and Yokohama regions, with a few additions in the Tohoku region. Users will find this much easier to navigate than the City Hall databases, which you have just seen. Let's see how it works. So this map actually comes in English and Japanese. So yeah, it looks something like this. Can give it a try, and yeah, this is how it looks like. Cool. Sorry about that. There's this auto maximizing feature. I don't think I can explore this further, but as you can see on the left, you can filter. Is it you're getting rid of home appliances, or you're getting rid of your batteries or cartons, cosmetics, fluorescent tubes, cooking oil, clothing, so on and so forth. And most of the data right now is in Tokyo, in Yokohama too. So Kanagawa and Tokyo areas. So if you're interested and if you're living in Japan, definitely check this out because it makes life really easier. Especially even if you're staying here long term, you know where the rough areas are. For some things like handphones, you don't throw them like every week or every month. 3 years later, you're gonna I gotta search for it again. Don't worry, GOMI-MAP is here, and you can use it to find out where to properly dispose of your e-waste and others. And that's a wonderful thing. Okay, and we've come to the end of covering the news. So there's two more items. Like I said at the start of the stream, there are two rather interesting things that I'd like to share. One is we received an email from this lady, Sato-san, and she is a toy artist. She's not just a toy artist, sorry, she's a sustainable toy artist. Now, Zenbird is still discussing, whether we want to put this out or not. But I thought it would be nice to share on the stream so that we can think about this, because when we look at ocean waste, toys actually come up quite often. It's one of the big pollutants, and if you think about the coloring in the plastics, it's really bad for the ocean, bad for sea life. Well, I won't be translating, but I think I can show you some things. So what this article does is she mentions that, you know, out of your waste, you don't have to throw them away. If they're still clean, you can actually make toys out of it. You don't have to buy. And using, you know, you reduce waste, and you can reuse the waste without, you know, in a way it's extending its current life cycle by giving it a second life as toys. So what it does is there are three different, she gives three different examples. The first is, how I'm going to say, box rails. Let's hope the picture loads so I can explain this. So these are toys that, you know, you put it on rails. Oh, it's not loading. Okay. Yeah, something's up with this again. Sorry guys. Yeah, it didn't happen for the last 2, 3, not even for the test stream, so it's very strange that this is happening right now. Give me a moment while I try to figure out what's wrong. Oh dear. Very, very strange. Is the climate clock even working? No, the climate clock is not even counting down. Oh dear. It might be one of the signs, right? You know, I gotta get a new laptop for this. Oh, it's not working. It's not working. Oh dear. Okay, tell you what, I think this is a good time to go into the break. When we come back, yeah, we're gonna talk about the other two things that I wanted to share. One of this, sustainable toys. Be right back. That is so strange. Welcome back. We're gonna continue with the sustainable toy artists that we were gonna share. Now I think the stream is back online, thank goodness. And finally, I think we opened something up just now. It caused the whole of my browser to lag throughout, and I hope we are back online. Now the stream isn't too smooth right now, but hopefully it will pass again with the unstable Wi-Fi. So let's continue. So we're talking about the first toy example that this sustainable toy artist is sharing. So usually, we will buy trains and tracks for children to play along, but she's saying that you can create your own through empty boxes. These are commonly found in when you buy food at supermarkets. Most of them come in boxes like this. Well, biodegradable, yes, but their packaging, you don't want to throwing them, causes some eco guilt. So what she's suggesting is, you see all the colors, you can actually make different types of train tracks, trains, sorry, like this, and how it will play out. She even provides instructions on how to cut, how to make, and it looks like this. You don't have to. You can use existing toys, cover it up with new boxes, and it looks new. You don't have to buy new toys for that. The other, I do not know. Well, it's called Ajitsuki Korokoro toy. So what it does is, all these toys will roll down this tube, and it provides some entertainment. And she's saying, you can take the seaweed containers and create your own. Now this might take a little bit more effort, but she provides clear instructions on how to create it, and it looks like this. I believe that's a GIF. Yeah, it looks like this. Enough to provide simple entertainment, and it still works. The third example, Ofuro bottle. So you get this bottle toys that children can play while being in the bath. Now, being in the hot, Japan has a hot bath. It's a hot bath. In a way, it's a custom, but I guess I'll call it a habit. And children will like to love playing, and we should let them play. To explore, and even during the hot baths. So you can create these toys with your existing plastic bottles. Just give them a bit of design, and you get all kinds of toys for them to play with. And you can just use your creativity for different cases. And this is the variety that she has made up to now. So using different designs, you can create different characters. So there's an extra. So she's using tea bags, using chocolate boxes, chocolate wrappers to create all this interesting, not just toys, but even like photo frames, bags. I thought it was a very interesting thing, because not a lot of us are talking about toys that when children grows, they have different needs. Of course, clothes is one thing they will grow out of. So there are a number of services in Japan that actually covers that. Why not when children grow out of their clothes, don't throw them away. They're still perfectly perfectly good, so pass on to someone else who needs them. And somehow creating a circular flow so that clothes do not have to be discarded. Now probably toys like this, probably I wouldn't really want to pass on, but it's a good idea that you can still give waste a second life. and keep their current life cycle in the circle for an extended period of time. So it's a good thing. Now the second thing I wanted to share is I was going through Reddit, and there's again the age-old question: is paper more damaging? Has a higher environmental impact on the environment, on the water, on natural resources than plastic? So, which reminds me of this article, which Zenbird also used: plastic, paper, or cotton? Which shopping bag is the best? Now, I wish we could give a straight answer, but the short answer will be none of this. You might be surprised, but yeah, we'll get to that. But the long answer is it's not easy to compare them, because when you think about plastic bag, paper bag, and cotton bag, how are they made? There's a lot of different types of plastic bags, different types of paper bags, different types of cotton bags. Are they dyed? How thin are they made? How durable are they? And all this creates different levels of in a way, carbon emissions impact. So what this article actually says is cotton has the most carbon emissions, because if you think about it, plastic comes from oil, and you don't have to create the oil. The oil has been there for millions of years, and it's been created already. There is no production cost, so there's just processing cost to turn oil into plastic. Whereas cotton, it takes time to grow them. You got to grow the cotton buds, so you need fields of it. Imagine the amount of water used, the amount of fertilizer needed, and when you harvest them, you have to use machines. And after using the machines, you got to transport them to some factory to process them. Then you got to ask, am I gonna add color? And then you have to ask yourself, is the coloring unusually not sustainable? All right, and then you got to when the clothes, let's say cotton bag is done, it's transported again. So we are looking at a lot of processes that goes in between, and therefore cotton bag is actually not the best bag to use for your shopping. This was very surprising. Paper lies in between plastic and cotton, simply because cotton is agriculturally intensive. But there's a warning here. It's not that we should use plastic bag. If you still think that we should use plastic bag, that's wrong. It's kind of a quick trick question, because there's a lot of single-use plastic. There's a lot of single-use paper bags. Cotton, yeah, you can use again and again, but every time you wash them, especially when we're talking about in the COVID era, in the pandemic, you wash them, and all those, if the bag is not sustainable, then you're actually creating more pollution for the environment than trying to save it. So what is the solution here? The solution here is actually to use plastic bags that can be reused for a very long time. We're talking about this plastic bag can be used for years. Now, single-use plastic bag should not be used. That's for sure. We don't need it. Seriously, there's no use for it. But if we can find durable, like IKEA, those blue bags where you can carry your furniture in, those are really, really strong, and you should keep them around. If you got the small size one, yeah, you can use it for grocery shopping. If you got something big, you can use it for future, when you're trying to move things. So, but we'll put it in the description later when the stream ends. But you will be able to see how they make plastic bags. For example, in plastic bags, they will say, there's high density and there's so low density. And for example, Once at a processing facility, the raw materials are treated and undergo polymerization to create building blocks of plastic. So while the plastic bags, the film is then flattened and cut into pieces and then sent to manufacturers that make into bags, and the plastic bags are packaged and transported around the world to vendors. And yeah, you get all this insight in how they make. And even in paper bags, why are paper bags, even though they are renewable and biodegradable, it is worse? Well, once the trees are cut down, the logs are moved to a mill where they wait up to like 3 years to dry out. Once ready, the bark is stripped off and the wood is chipped into 1-inch cubes that are subjected to high heat and pressure. Then they are mixed with limestone and sulfurous acid until the combination becomes pulp. The pulp is then washed. Okay, here I try to pay more attention to how much water they use. The pulp is washed with fresh water and bleach, then pressed into paper, which is cut, printed, packaged, and shipped. As a result of the heavy use of toxic chemicals in the process, paper is responsible for 70 times more air pollution and 50 times more water pollution than plastic bag production, according to a Washington Post analysis, resulting in more toxicity to humans and the environment than plastic bags, high-density polymer bags. While 66% of paper and paperboard are recycled, the recycling process requires additional chemicals to remove the ink and then return the paper to pulp, which can add to the paper's environmental impact. So even though we can say, oh, they are recyclable, remember the ink, how are we going to remove it? Some process goes through it. And if the process is not sustainable, then, I'm sorry, the paper that you just bought has just turned unsustainable. I will definitely link this in the description, so do give a check out. And seeing how, oh dear, our stream is a bit unstable today, I think we shall end it sooner. But before we go, I would like to introduce an application that, you can use for yourself. Oh dear. And again, we're facing lag issues. What is going on today? The Wi-Fi is not really well. Maybe I should do this on a different video rather than on a live stream. Well, during these live streams, we not just want to share news with you, but we really want to give you something that you can take home and act on today. And I think this, yes, it's up. As you can say, yeah, I'm not gonna pronounce that. I don't think YouTube is gonna kick me out for this, but yeah, it's called UnF the Future. Now, what this is a browser application that you can download and install. Is free, and what it wants to do is it wants to use humor to solve your climate concerns. No, not climate concerns. Your eco anxiety. Now, there's been a rise in eco anxiety. The worry for your environmental future. It's been rising among youths, and I believe the last time I checked, Philippines is suffering the worst increase in number of youths who are suffering from eco anxiety. And the founder for the UnF the Future App wants to use humor to help you overcome all these worries. Now I have one here. There's no need for a sign up. You can use the extension once downloaded. So for example, there's a lot of depressing news like this. Already too late. IPCC report says global warming consequences are now unavoidable. Well, there's some truth to that. You don't want to scare people off. What Zenbird usually do is, yes, things are quite, we are in an emergency, but there are solutions. And this title totally fumbles that up. It doesn't say that. It wants to scare so that it can get more eyeballs. And here, as you can see, there's a pop-up here, UnF the Future. So so the idea is, you see something, it makes you depressed. Don't worry, click on the app and they tell you this. plastic is made by the fossil fuel dirtbags. So urge Biden to be a plastic-free president and take 8 actions to stop plastic pollution. So you actually see here, there is some sort of humor inserted and then an action. Now, personally for Zenbird, we believe that to handle eco-anxiety, you must know, you must learn. First, you must learn that there are solutions, but you must know what the solutions are, and you need to understand that climate solutions are not perfect yet. So, for example, we know that we need to shift all our energy into renewables. So, wind and solar are very important, right? But when we look at solar panel production, yes, there has been an increase in solar panels production. It's creating solar energy to be cheaper. But what is making the solar panels? China handles, I think, about 80% of global production, and they are using fossil fuels to create solar panels, and that's a problem. That is just one of the problems. So the key is not to feel disappointed that it's not a solution. It is a solution. It's just that you now know there's a gap, and it is our job to try to solve that gap, to overcome. How do we cut away fossil fuels but still produce the solar panels? And UnF the Future app here wants to add, by taking action, you can actually solve your eco-anxiety. Now, it doesn't always work because, for example, we tried it on our Zenbird site, and the recommended move to get was to tell Ecuador, the Ecuador government to do something. Like there's no link. So I believe the app is still new. It's still trying to work out its algorithm. Let us see what other kind of actions there is. Why not reduce your environmental impact to tell big up? I saw that word and I'm not going to pronounce it. So that is the humor part, and the action is finding one thing in your diet to buy locally this week. Maybe support a bakery or even your beer. And I think this is a very good point. We always say, you might have heard of this, local production for local consumption. And why is that important? There's a lot of reasons, of course, like revitalizing the local economy. But most importantly is, why should I buy something from other countries when I can just walk 5 minutes and buy the same thing? It's going to have an increase in carbon emissions just to transport something to your community, whereas you just walk down 5 minutes to the store and buy something, your carbon emissions gets hugely cut. And that's why it tells you to buy locally. But buying locally doesn't mean it's not a good thing, because if you look into your community, there are always something cool happening. For example, I'm in Nara. I just arrived yesterday, and I found out they have an upcycled craft beer. Probably next week. No, either next week or the week after. I'm going down. Probably not an interview, but I want to do a report and see, what does upcycled beer means. Well, probably I can imagine, when you're creating craft beers, there are some food leftovers, and I believe it's called Golden Rabbit. And Golden Rabbit, what Golden Rabbit does is it uses ingredients from in the community, within the community. So there are farmers who create ingredients for him to use, and what he does is he takes them to create craft beers. But there are leftovers, so he plans. He has a successful crowdfunding, and he's going ahead this month to start crafting the beer out of food waste. Can't wait to really want to go down, not just to drink. I love drinking, but yeah, to find out, you know, what's the exciting process that's going on. Hopefully I can get an interview. Now we'll see. So yeah, if you are worried about environment, yeah, please find this UnF the Future. Just install into your browser and you can use it. I'm using Chrome, so you can use it too. Brave, yeah, Brave uses a Chrome foundation. You can also install it on Brave too if you want to. So yeah, we'll end the stream here. Thank you for hanging around. This is really strange Wi-Fi that we have, and I will try to find out, you know, how we can improve the stream. Otherwise, I have to find another place to do the stream. But we'll see. And till then, you know, it's the weekend. Recharge, so that you can fight a good fight next week. If you are suffering from echo anxiety, know this: there are solutions. Don't give up on the future. There are a lot of people who are still fighting the good fight. So again, recharge, and come back stronger to fight for our future, for our world, and fight for those who are suffering right now. Take care.